Good evening, all of you. Today we have here Mrs. Uma Baskaran. We are starting our career guidance series with Mrs. Uma, and this is a very interesting video series where we interview industry experts from different industry sectors, and we also try to get a lot of industry insights and also career insights for all young aspirants, young students, and young professionals. I hope we'll have an interesting interview today with Mrs. Uma. Mrs. Uma, welcome to this interview. Very happy to meet you.
Thank you so much. I am happy to be a part of this process, and I'm sure some students will be benefited out of this.
So I want to understand, you are a very senior banker, you have years of experience in banking. I want to understand how you got into banking, your background, and what made you get into banking as a career, and how did you choose this career?
Okay. It's really an interesting story because I never planned to become a banker. I did my master's in physics and I always wanted to become a scientist. My father used to keep saying always that I have to become a scientist in BARC, Baba Atomic Research Center. So that was always in my mind. But the first job I got was in a bank, and those days, the employment opportunities were not as many as we see now. So I took up the job, and as I started learning, I realized that it was an ocean of knowledge which was totally not known to me, and I developed interest in that, in customer interactions, in knowing the unknown, and I started learning accounts from the +1 book my friend taught me. That's how my journey started. So when we realize that we don't know something and we develop interest in learning that, the depth of knowledge that we acquire is really good. So that way I learned from the basics of accounting and started enjoying the journey. So that's how accidentally I just wrote the exam, I cleared the exam, got selected, and then I started enjoying the journey. That's the way I became a banker, and career growth was also good. So I initially joined a private sector bank as a clerk in the clerical cadre. I am saying this message to the students because whatever position you get, whether it is on campus placement or you attend the interview separately, please take up the job. Don't wait for getting a role that you've been wanting to. I want to become a manager directly, assistant manager directly, etc. I took up the job as a clerk and then cleared the exam called CAIIB, which is Certified Associate of Indian Institute of Bankers, for which I really went for tuition to learn accounts and other subjects. I have a friend with whom I am in touch even now, who taught me forex or credit. So for a science student, the learning was really an interesting journey, so I could clear the exams faster and I got my promotion also faster. So that way my career started and the growth also happened.
So I also learned that you have become a vice president of a large private sector bank. So can you tell us about your journey to the role of vice president?
Okay. So in the first bank that I joined, I got my promotion as an officer, and by then I had my baby. So it was a real tough work-life balance, as it happens for any woman, and with the support of people around I could manage. And so as an officer, again the learning was even higher, and at one stage we had the new set of private sector banks coming in, like ICICI, Global Trust Bank. So a well-wisher of mine hinted me, when you work so hard and you do so well, why not you try in the new generation banks? So that's how I just took a chance, quit that bank and joined a new generation private sector bank, and the learning there was totally different. And of course I should be thankful to the bosses with whom I have worked from my first bank, and I have learned a lot of things from them. So the second bank I joined as an assistant manager, and I was taking care of operations, and there also the learning was good, and in 2 years I became a manager. That is when I thought, okay, that we have become a manager, literally it's like becoming a branch manager. So I expressed my willingness. So whenever the opportunity knocks, we should be prepared to take it. So I expressed proactively my willingness to become a manager Immediately everybody said, no ma'am, there's no lady manager in our bank as of now in Chennai. I said, I'm certainly willing to take and I can do, because I was already, doing whatever is required to be a manager.
You were mentioning that you were aspiring to get into manager role, then eventually you became the vice president of the bank. Can you please share us about that experience?
Yes. So when I expressed my interest to become a branch manager, the response was that we don't have a lady branch manager so far in Chennai. How can we, take you as a branch manager? I said, I have already been doing that responsibility, so I am confident that I can do. So, so I got the posting as a branch manager, and I could prove myself well also. I think the trait of easily being able to interact with people, develop rapport, maintain good relationship with the customers, which I acquired from my mother, that really helped me in this journey. So, and I also enjoyed, meeting the requirements of customers' expectations. That way, I was a successful branch manager, and then at one stage I moved to the next bank and joined as an assistant vice president. But each moment I had to express my constraint of Chennai posting. So it was little difficult, but then I could get such assignments. So the third bank I joined as an assistant vice president, taking care of operations. I was focusing on both operations and sales. So many think that banking job is all about desk sitting from 10 to 5, talking to customers, paying cash, etc. But it involves both operations and sales. So because both I could do well, I got my promotion as a vice president and continued my journey in retail banking. So totally I served in the banking sector for 26 years.
26 years is a quite long period, ma'am. So I also want to understand, for the benefit of learners and students who are aspiring to build a career in banking, what do you think 3 or 4 skills that are required for a student or an aspiring banker, I may call? What are the 3-4 skills that you suggest that they should have?
Okay.
To build a career in banking?
Yes. Number 1, we should be empathetic, because it's all about understanding the requirements of the customer, and then understanding the concepts, products within the bank. Earlier they used to say that somebody should be numerically efficient to get into a bank job, you should be able to total ledgers, etc. Now everything is automated, everything is on core banking platforms, so such skills are not required. It's taken care of by the system on its own. So one need to be a quick learner. Okay, they need not be from the finance background, but they have to be a quick learner, and they should have empathy in understanding the customer's requirements. And number 3, very important, adaptability to change. Whatever change is announced, because the financial system that we have been seeing in the media, in the newspapers, everything is dynamic. Lots of policies keep getting introduced, and we should be really I should say agile enough to quickly adapt to the situation, learn things, and jump into action. So these are the 3 things that I can see.
Thank you. Very happy to know the skill set required to become a banker. I also have one doubt, what banks expect from candidates. Let's say if bank wants to recruit people, so what are the education qualifications they look for, what kind of exams they conduct, how should one student prepare for a career in banking, from an eligibility and from a competitive exam perspective.
Okay, so the basic eligibility is a graduation, and not necessary that student has to be a BCom graduate, can be a graduate from any discipline. So basically an undergraduation, or can even be a postgraduate student. We have been seeing even MTech, MBA students taking up banking assignments and growing very well in the organization. So what banks look for in the students, if they have to be recruited, is number 1, their attitude, very important, because they should have the right attitude to deal with the customers. Without customers, there is no business in banking, for that matter in any business. So they should have the right attitude and be empathetic in handling the customers, and they should also be willing to take up challenges, or they should be willing to take up any kind of assignments given to them, and willingness to learn and adapt themselves, and also they should be willing for sales. And so generally when it's a bank, people don't think that sales will be a part of their job, but sales definitely is an expected skill if a person has to join the banks now. Very few roles do not have targets, otherwise for all roles there is a number target, and people should be willing to take up that.
Yes, ma'am. And what are the competitive exams that are there to enter into banking space? Because today so many graduates are there. When you talk about UG and PG, we have millions of students graduating every year. So what are the exams that they should be writing to build a career in banking?
To get into nationalized banks, IBPS exam, which was earlier called as BSRB, that is the only exam available. And of course we have probationary officers exams of SBI. Otherwise for all the private sector banks, they do the recruitment directly. So we have to keep looking for the opportunities in their portals, websites, and also the advertisements in the social media as well as in newspapers. And many colleges now go in for campus placements, and they are very keen in placing their students in jobs. And many banks also prefer to go to the colleges, interact with them directly, and then recruit the students for any requirement. The other path is academies like Manipal. They have exclusive courses as PG diploma in banking, etc. 2 years course, 1 year course are also there. So if they are able to complete that after UG, they can do those courses, after which they are placed directly as management trainees in banks, depending on the course they are doing. So these are the ways they can join a bank.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for sharing those insights. I also have some interesting doubts that students will generally ask us when we actually participate in career guidance programs with students. So one of the major doubts most of the students have is what is the salary that typically a banker earns? Maybe a starting salary you can tell about what a beginner in banking gets, and similarly if you grow in different levels of career, what kind of salaries people earn.
For the entry level itself, that is even for the feet on street business development executives, what we call, the salary will be ranging from 15 to 20,000. Apart from that, they will be getting incentives for the business they are doing if they are on exclusive sales roles. Otherwise, on an average of 20 to 25,000 is the starting salary they can expect.
Okay, and if they have experience and over a period of time, what is the typical salary? Because people want salaries in millions, so is billion a good number to look at for a career in banking?
Certainly. Actually, to start with, the salary is around 20,000. But if they perform very well and if their scoring is very good in the performance appraisals, they in the private sector banks, there is a possibility to get promotions every 2 years, every 3 years also, depending on how they perform. So every year there is definitely an increment also, and so if they are great performers, there will be a steep rise in their salary levels, and when they jump to the next level, every next level, definitely their salary increases, and when they reach the level of manager, I am sure they can draw up to 1 lakh.
1 lakh per month, yeah, that's a good number.
Per month.
Yeah, that's a good number, and I'm sure many people who are aspiring to be good bankers and they're smart and quick at doing their work, I'm sure they'll be able to achieve that.
Yes.
Yes, very happy to know about the salaries, ma'am. And now another interesting aspect about you personally, ma'am. You got into banking career and you finally, moved out of banking career and you joined, training space. You're also a trainer. You're also a counselor. You're also NLP trainer. So please share us more about your training journey. How you switched from banking into training space. I'm sure with the experience it would have helped you to get into this career, but it will help a lot of our learners understand your background and how you got into the training space.
Thank you for asking that question, because this message will definitely help the students in understanding that sky is the limit, and whatever we want to get into, we can do that at any age. So my banking career for 26 years, it was just running along with the personal life, so I never turned back. And when I completed 25 years, I just started asking myself, what was my passion, what am I doing now? And all through my life I have been a people oriented person, and I can never keep quiet if, on seeing somebody suffering, immediately wanting to help. And I have really got a lot of remarks because I was a people oriented person in my career also, but that is my personality trait. So the moment I quit banking, a close friend of mine came and told me, you should become a counselor, that definitely will suit you. I was planning to get into HR. So I actually wanted to do a course in Liba and went and did HRM certification and wanted to really get into HR. But when I was in my job as a vice president, I used to give guest lectures or go as chief guest in some colleges. And they used to say, ma'am, one day you should become a visiting professor, you are able to establish, connect with the students. So that was always in my mind, and I told them that when I quit my job, definitely I'll come and join. And that way, soon after quitting my banking career, I became a visiting professor for banking and insurance for MBA students and started giving guest lectures. And in turn, they started referring me to other colleges. That way, my teaching and training journey started. I started doing training programs for banks, of course, colleges. So every program I did, I got references. They used to refer me. And whatever I do my best. So I think that is my strength, and that got me lots of references, and my training journey started. So as my friend suggested, I did my masters in psychology and then did other certifications. So it's not only masters that can make somebody a practicing counselor or a practicing psychologist. We need to do other certifications and equip ourselves. We need to do internships. So everything I did. And so in my search of enablers for my counseling practice, I did my TA and NLP certifications. So we call it as NLP Master Practitioner because it's all about practicing. So even till date, I will say I am a practitioner. And because of this varied experience, my studying science, then getting into banking job, and then HRM, and then psychology. So my exposure in varied fields helped me connect with any audience, any age group, and any sector. So that's how, as on date, I am a corporate trainer, counseling psychologist, and NLP master practitioner. I am also a Posh consultant.
Very, very good to know your experience, and you're continuously learning. That's very, very important. And after 26 years of banking, you went back to college and learned, and I'm sure that would have added a lot of value to your career. I'm sure it also would have helped you in improving your skill and knowledge. But at the same time, you're also going back and teaching to people and helping them to find a suitable career for themselves. So that's a great journey that you are in. We're all inspired to know. Thank you, ma'am, for all your responses. So one of the interesting questions I have when I look at news every day is every year we will see at least few banks which go bankrupt. At least globally we see good number of them, for various reasons. Some of them, we don't know. Some of them we also want to know from experts like you why banks actually go bankrupt, and what are the reasons, and then can regulators prevent that.
Okay, again thanks for asking that question. While I teach the financial system also, I always take pride in saying that Indian financial system is very strong. So if you see, if you observe the journey of various banks which are not in existence today, where are they? If you see, they have not vanished, they have been absorbed into the system. So our Indian financial system is very, very strong. So if you see in India, you cannot say a bank has gone bankrupt or a customer has lost the money, the depositor's money has gone, vanished. We wouldn't have come across such instances at all. We would have seen many banks which really went into a bad scenario, I would say, and immediately Reserve Bank of India and the Financial Ministry will jump into action and take decision quickly to ensure that it is hand-holded and it is absorbed into the financial system. So the customers may face inconvenience in the moratorium period, what we say, for few days, 10 or 15 days or max 1 month, where they will not be able to withdraw their money immediately, but their money has been absolutely safe. So all I am saying is our Indian financial system is a very strong financial model. The systems and the cushions required are strongly in place with RBI guidelines. If I get into that subject, it's a very bigger subject. So our system is very strong and we can be rest assured about it, and it has been a role model emulated by other countries, looked upon and replicated in their financial system as well. So certainly in India it cannot happen. That's my confidence.
Yeah, I'm very happy to know that Indian banks are stable and robust. Very happy to know that, ma'am. Another interesting question, typically when we talk about banks and loans, as a common man and common people, we approach banks for loans. When we approach banks for loans, we also think that some people get preferential treatment. So do you see, because you also worked in bank, do you see banks giving preferential treatment to different people based on their background? Some gets loans easily, some don't get loans that easily. So do you see that, and did it happen in your career?
It is only a myth, I will say, because it's all about 3 C's we say in lending. We look at the character, capacity and capital, even for lending to small businesses. So even in the non-computerized scenario, the first thing a branch manager will look up to for lending is the character of an individual. So as long as the credibility of an individual is intact, that was the first selection criteria for a loan. But now everything is automated, and there is nothing called bias or influence. Maybe if you know somebody personally, they can speed up the process, but whether it is sanctioning the loan or rejecting the loan, the systems are so tightened and automated in the system that such things cannot happen. There is also a myth that only bigger borrowers will be given easily and small borrowers will not be given that easily, etc. No, the KYC documentation or the other documents required for any loan is standardized and will be asked for anybody, even for employees of the same bank.
Yeah, thank you for the response, ma'am. Very interesting response. I also want to understand, if you are, let us say, if you have taken a small loan from a bank and you are not able to pay, there's a lot of pressure from the bank that you have to pay, and you have to pay in time all your installments and all that. And we also of late see a lot of people who actually borrow thousands of crores, get an opportunity to escape. So how is it possible in the banking system, and where do you see the gaps that they are able to utilize and actually take advantage of the system? I'm sure they are taking advantage of the system, but how is it happening?
Okay, so when it comes to smaller loans, there are relationship managers, and of course for bigger loans also. So when it comes to bigger borrowers, it's not that they are not being followed up or they are easily allowed to flee away. It's nothing like that. There is a very tight monitoring mechanism, and constantly they will be pestered for repayment, and the only thing that can be tightened is whatever systems and procedures we have in our system have to be made faster. That's all, and we have to be more proactive, whether it comes to small retail borrowers or the large borrowers. But otherwise, following up mechanism that is equal, whether it is a small loan or a big loan, which we may not be able to see what they are talking and how they are following up with the bigger borrowers, because each one of us in the society, we come under the category of retail borrowers. We get to know from our friends how they are being followed up. Otherwise, it's naturally more pressure will be there, more trust will be given on recovery of high value loans which have been defaulted.
Yeah, what you're saying is it's not the problem with the bank, it's the borrower who's smart to get away and figure out a mechanism to escape from paying from the bank.
But whatever procedures we have in the banking system, we need to really speeden up. We have to make it faster, and the systems have to become even tighter and faster.
Yeah, and we should have a prediction mechanism where we should be able to say these are the people in pipeline in terms of defaults, and these are the precautions to follow.
That is also there in the banking system. which throws alerts on which accounts are likely to default, which are going to become NPAs. Everything is there, and we definitely take all measures, but I think we have to find out a more tighter mechanism to follow up and to ensure the accountability is more on the defaulters, whether small or large borrowers.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. It's a very interesting answer, and I'm sure many learners would be very enlightened with this information about banking. Now I want to look at your career guidance and your career counselor as a role. I want to ask you some more about career counseling and career guidance. So a lot of students, I'm sure, will come to you for career guidance. So what are the 3 things you tell them, or you want to tell our viewers in terms of choosing a career? What are the 3 things that they should actually look at while making a career choice?
Number 1, the students have to keep in mind the scope for that particular field in the long run. Number 2, they should understand that passion is different from profession. They should understand that they can stay in a profession, they can earn money, and they can also pursue passion in their free time. And number 3, they should trust what information is shared with them by the school teachers and also the parents, which will be definitely for their welfare only. These are the 3 things as a parent and as a career counselor I would like to share.
Yeah, and most of the parents and children have fights on career choice. How do you see that, and how to resolve it? Because children are also not wrong sometimes. They talk about modern careers which parents may not understand them in detail, and second, they may also have fear their own children getting into some career and struggling. So parents want their children to have a great career. So I'm sure with good intent they may have a small fight at home, but how do you suggest both parents and children to have a common dialogue and common decision to say this is the career? Both of them would be happy, because I'm sure child wants to do something and parents want to do something.
Yes.
So, and ultimately it's the child who has to make a choice. So how do you see that going?
I remember those days, every child used to be asked this question: what are you going to do in future? What you want to become in future? But such questions are not being asked now, because the adults as well as the children are in their own world. There is no communication at all. Only when there is communication, those triggering questions can be asked.
Everybody is busy on their phone.
Everybody is busy on their phone. So, there has to be proper communication in every family between the elder members as well as the children. And we used to have the joint family system, where the grandparents, the aunts, uncles will be interacting with the children if the parents are busy. But these days it's all nuclear system, where both the parents are working and there's least communication. So there is no possibility of the children starting to think what I want to become in future, and suddenly if you are going to ask them, the latest inspiration that they have only they say. So many students who come to me for career counseling, they say I want to become a YouTuber, I want to become a video gamer. Okay, definitely compared to years before, now there is lot of understanding about the new career choices that are coming in, and so we know that there are many companies which design the games, and YouTubers earning income out of whatever videos they are uploading, etc. But not all are successful. This is one thing that students have to understand. And there is no age limit also for doing such things. YouTubers, if you want to do a video, all age group people do that. The prime importance has to be on establishing a career for themselves, starting to earn. So starting to earn is not only to support the family, but it also adds to their own self-esteem, that having accomplished graduation and then getting into a career, building the career, that really adds to their self-esteem also. Compared to a person who has got into a job, started earning, if a person is not started earning, definitely the person feels low. So for various reasons, it's very important to get into a job at the right age. However, the career options are more in numbers now compared to 25 years back. The parents also have to update themselves and understand. I remember that when we studied, it was all about BA, BSc, BCom, and very few students will get into medicine or engineering. So, but now we can see numerous engineering colleges, and engineering has become just like any other graduation, like BA, BSc or BCom, and so even if they get into a job, it's looked upon as another UG. Okay, unless they are specialized in their core area and they get into the core job, the same domain, they are lucky. Otherwise, they get whatever the job they get and they get into that. So, parents also should understand what the child likes, should start establishing, communications at least when they get into 9th standard. When a student gets into 9th standard and when they are in 10th standard, they should have a clear idea on what group they will choose in +1. So, ideally now we have lots of psychometric tools to understand what area or what career the child can student can get into based on their personality traits. So, if we are doing that kind of an assessment in 9th or 10th standard, which now every school is organizing as a value addition for their students, or they can choose any other tool which they want also. So, their strengths will be analyzed, and based on their strengths and personality traits, suitable career can be suggested, and they can get into appropriate groups in +1. You were asking about parents. I know many parents who have been lawyers for generations in families, who have been doctors for many generations. So, they want their children also to become doctors or lawyers, but not all children have that capacity. Some of the parents, they come like that and they say that we want a child to become a doctor, but we are not sure if he or she has that caliber. What do you suggest? So, this kind of psychometric assessment helps them understand whether the child can cope up with that kind of load in the syllabus, or whether they have any other aspiration. The child will be having a different aspiration. So, what I suggest is, when the student gets into 9th or 10th standard, it is better to do a psychometric assessment and understand what career will suit the child and suggest the appropriate group in 11th standard.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. It's a very detailed answer. I'm sure many of our viewers would appreciate your response. Now, since you talked about parents, I want you to also see you're a parent, and you've also seen life for almost 30-40 years, both in career and at home. And I'm sure you would have met a lot of students, and as part of your current job profile. So, what is your advice to parents? And typically, I'm also a parent. I have a 5-year-old son. Now, what is your advice to parent, or how do you make parenting happy? Because we struggle as parents to convince our children. I'm sure most parents who are watching this video will agree with me. We have our challenges to work with our kids. So, what do you suggest that parents should do to make themselves peaceful and happy?
Okay. So, now when we talk about parenting, both the parents are working and some are working from home, and so I hear some of the parents saying that work from home is a bigger challenge, to manage the work as well as to take care of the daily routine and to take care of the child.
Yes, ma'am. I want to understand, what are the tips you give for parents, and how can parents be happy and peaceful while, their kids and, family members are also peaceful and happy.
Okay, I know it's really a tough challenge nowadays, because we work from home and it's a nuclear family system. Some families don't have proper arrangement to take care of the children, etc. So we really need to, there is no fixed formula, but based on our family circumstances, we need to arrive at a comfortable pattern or formula on how we can manage things, whether it is a single child or double child, or whether we are working from home or from office, or it's one person is working outstation. So there are various influencing factors on how we can devise a particular method on handling the situation. But the most important thing is keep an eye on the child, and as we say KYC, know your customer, we have to know our child. So know your child thoroughly. What makes them happy, what makes them feel disappointed. We have to keep an eye on them even if we are very busy, and keep talking to the children. It's not that many always keep blaming the working parents, working women, saying you don't have time to spend with your children, that's why the child is not scoring well, etc. Does that mean that children of parents who are working from home or who are not working are scoring well 100%? It's not so. There are always exceptions. It's about the quality time that we spend with our children. So whenever we are at home, we have to spend quality time with them, listen to them. They'll be waiting to share a lot of things with us, and we may be very busy. So we have to allocate family time, and that should be real quality time. And the other one I want to say about parenting is we can practice this triple M model. That is mentoring, monitoring, and modeling. One, we have to mentor them, we have to handhold them, we have to teach them what is good and what is bad for them. We have to empower them with a lot of knowledge and information. We have to share everything with them like a friend. And the more information they have, and they'll be able to handle the world easily. And the next is monitoring. First is mentoring, next is monitoring. We can give freedom to our children, but we should not leave them just like that. We have to really monitor them, keep an eye on them for their own safety. And the third M is modeling. The child does what he or she sees the parent doing. So if we are going to shout at everybody around, the child also learns to keep shouting at everyone. And if you are very friendly with others, they learn the same thing. If you are helpful, they are also helpful. You develop the practice of giving food, water or cooling whenever a guest comes. That also is learned by the child. It's all about role modeling. So every parent should remember that through their actions and behaviors, they are role modeling, and that is what the children will learn very strongly from the parents.
Yeah, it's a very important point. You should become a role model for your child, and I'm sure a child also, if anybody asks who's your role model, they should be able to say, my mom is a role model,
Exactly.
my dad is a role
dad
model.
Is a role model. Yes.
That's a very important activity for parents to aspire for and work towards. Thank you for the insights, ma'am. Yeah, you have anything else to share for parenting?
Yeah, whatever parents want their children to do, first they have to practice. That's the best way to make them do.
Yeah. Parents have to do it, and lead by doing.
Yes.
Good point, ma'am.
Lead by example.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure many would, definitely put this into practice. And I also want to talk about, alternate careers that are getting into popularity now. A lot of, people are looking at alternate careers today, and many of them have multiple careers. They have a job and they have a passion. At some point, they're moving from job to passion. So there are a lot of these, multiple career options that people work on. While they do a job, they create a, company in pipeline. They actually work on a new idea and create a company. Or some of them actually do a job and pursue a passion, and eventually that passion actually becomes a full-fledged career. So what do you suggest to people, to look at multiple career options? Are you for it, or are you saying, they should only pursue one career?
The thumb rule is, it is not ethical to go for second income while we are on a job. Okay, so keeping that as a foundation, whatever information I'm going to share with is valid. Definitely it's very important to keep plan B in mind. The job that we are in, we have to always think how long I will sustain in this job, whether I will be retiring from this job, because the current trend is that not everybody looks up to retiring in the same job. Not everyone wants to even work after 40 nowadays. So we have to always have plan B. I know a friend of mine who is into a serious profession, but has been pursuing his passion for drawing and painting. He does it religiously, regularly, and keeps gifting to friends and families for all functions. So that way the passion is alive. at some point he may be able to pursue that as a profession also. And I have seen another friend who keeps writing articles, has a flair for authoring, so has even released a book, authored a book. So that can become a profession at some stage. Some examples like Chetan Bhagat also we have seen. So it's very important for everyone to think about plan B, but not to start earning while they are on the job. So whenever we get free time, we have to stay in touch with our passion, and at some stage definitely it will come in handy and we'll be able to pursue that as a profession. So for that, first we have to start equipping ourselves. If we really want to get into some profession in the long run, it's better to start learning about that, whether it is music or arts or anything for that matter. What is very important is to be a constant learner and to keep updating ourselves on our areas of interest.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insights. So I have one last question, which is like, dealing with ourselves. Because I'm sure you might be doing a lot of counseling, personal counseling to a lot of individuals and adults. I'm sure dealing with ourselves has become a serious problem now, and many of us are not able to handle ourselves well. So what is your suggestion to, today's crowd who's like more, on mobile, less with people, and, very much influenced from mobile content, and sometimes they really forget what is real and what is virtual. So, how do you actually help students to deal with themselves, and, what is your suggestion in terms of, students trying to miss the reality and getting into this virtual mode, forgetting that they are in a real world where they have a better life and, happy life than, struggling and, worried about a lot of things that are not in their control.
As I am saying this, I have to say that even for us people in our generation, the screen time has really increased. And there were days when we were saying that we should not give the mobile in the hands of the children. But in the current, during the COVID times, we forced the mobile in the hands of the children to attend their online classes. So I think lots of transformation is happening, particularly after the pandemic. The work from home scenario also has started, and for many it is the mobile that contains everything, even entire, of course we have the laptop, but still maximum communication happens on the mobile. So it is inevitable, I think, to be on screen for a long time for everyone, not only for children. So whenever there is no requirement, I think consciously we have to stay away from the screen. So if we think, I think most of the time we are on the mobile, or let me put it this way, either we work on the system, on the laptop. When we are free, we keep watching something on the TV screen, and if there's nothing interesting on the TV to watch, also we have the OTT channels, but still if we find that boring, then we immediately switch on to the mobile. And wherever we wait or we sit, or when we are free and we don't have a companion, it has become a like a reflex action to immediately keep browsing the mobile.
Mobile is your best friend.
Yes, mobile has become
Not the
best
parents,
companion.
not the friends in class.
Yes. So
which is actually not a best friend, because it's not a human being.
Correct. Number one,
and we keep sharing all our interests in the form of search. Okay, I want to find the best biryani point. I want to look at the first person who knows is Google.
Correct, exactly. So there is a lot of good in that also, but what happens, it steals away a lot of our time. You get into WhatsApp to answer just one message, and you end up spending more time in that. And see, number one, it affects the eye power. We are able to see many kids wearing specs at a very young age, and even cataract. I heard one eye specialist saying that compared to earlier years, now at a much younger age, patients come for cataract surgery. So it affects the eye, and then it also reduces the thinking capacity of people. So I will say that even when calculators we started using, we stopped totaling. And so now when we started using the contact list in the mobile, we started forgetting all the contact numbers. We don't remember the addresses, we remember only the contact numbers and the mail IDs. So lots of changes have happened. So our thinking capacity and the application of the mind, everything is reducing. So whenever there is a possibility, it is better to stay away from the gadgets, from the mobile, and start interacting within the family. I remember in Chennai in the Varda times as well as the Chennai floods times, there was absolutely no current, and that is when every family member started interacting among themselves, looking at each other, and started interacting with the neighbors also. So for that we cannot expect to have Vardas or Chennai floods very often. So we have to find time about. I remember seeing in one place, I saw recently in a video, that after 7 it will be no gadget time for the entire village. Something like that I think we should start practicing within families, at least on the weekends, whenever possible, to stay away from gadgets and to start interacting with each other. So the concept of family time, quality time has to be introduced, that helps in building a good connect between the parents and the children. And more importantly, the parents have to take their children to the functions, or they have to take them on travel, because that would be opportunities for them to explore, interact with the new people, new sets of people, and also to stay away from gadgets for some time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful insights. I'm sure your insights are going to be useful to many of our viewers. And thank you very much for participating in this interview, and very happy to have you today. And thank you for all the insights you have given, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this excellent interview, and I really enjoyed answering the questions. I hope this is useful for some parents as well as some students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.